Alright, so this is about eating disorders in the female athletic community. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, there are 8 different types of eating disorders. And according to Gabriela Margado, in Prevention of Eating Disorders in Female Athletics, up to 27% of elite female athletes struggle with eating disorders, plaguing athletes all across the globe, and is finally starting to get the attention it needs. The problem is still ongoing, and there are several changes that need to happen. First off, people need to realize that this mental illness is a problem. Secondly, the way coaches treat athletes and society views those athletes can cause them to develop, and if we change the way they are coached and viewed, this could help the problem. So to begin with, people need to realize that eating disorders are serious, very serious, extremely dangerous to the athlete's health and to that of mental illness. The problem is the stigma around mental illness. That is people trying to say that it's not a real illness. Of course, this is incorrect. And according to Schmink in the article Epidemiology of Eating Disorders, Incidence, Prevalence, and Mortality Rates, all eating disorders have an elevated mortality rate compared to the last couple of decades. Real problems equals real consequences, which equals death. Not eating enough or eating too much are some of these problems. There are a wide variety of eating disorders, and they can affect any type of athlete. Unfortunately, several symptoms normalized in today's society, according to the Mental Health America's article Eating Disorders, extreme dieting and compulsive exercise are precursors to full-blown eating disorders. But yet, in today's culture, those are somewhat praised. You see this all over the place in magazines and commercials. Some supporting ideas to support these claims are anyone at any age, any sex, young women, girls, typically are at higher risk and even higher for female athletes. On average, according to Margado, only 21% of non-athlete females have an eating disorder. But that number jumps to 27% in athletes, as stated earlier. She also mentions an eating disorder called anorexia athletica, healthy BMI, but not enough for hard workouts. Anyone is affected, but in higher for female athletes, according to Thompson and Sherman in The Last Word. Cross country is also known for slim build and being lightweight because it is supposed to help runners go faster. But some runners take this to the extreme by being extremely light. For example, one of my friends during senior year fell into this trap of an eating disorder, and she would barely eat in order to lose weight. So obviously this is a huge problem that needs to be worked on, and there are two main causes that need to be dealt with. So the first cause, are coaches. One of the main causes are coaches and how they coach and talk to their athletes. When high school coaches tell girls they ran slowly because they gained weight, this is by no means an appropriate way to tell young high school girls who are already at a higher risk of developing an eating disorder and typically have a low self-esteem. Coaches also put a lot of stress on their athletes by pushing them to perform at their absolute best every time they practice and compete. They push for perfection, and according to the Mental Health America article on major causes of eating disorders is the pressure of authority figures, i.e. coaches. Beyond coaches, cultural views help to shape the minds of athletes, especially the young. Billboards, magazines, and commercials of women promoting fitness but unhealthily thin. Advertisements equals wrong mindsets, which leads to eating disorders. To try and look like the girl in the magazine who has more than likely been heavily photoshopped. Sexist double standards is another cause. Also for elite athletes and their ability to perform and look good to spectators is what is seen by younger athletes. Jones, Glentmeyer, and McKenzie in the journal Slim Bodies, Eating Disorders, and Coach-Athlete Relationships states one example of the reason women have extra pressure to look thin and fit, even on the field. They stated that the head of the women's soccer for FIFA said that he wanted the women wearing more feminine attire. And when he asked to clarify, he said tighter shorts, and his reason being to increase viewership. So coaching and cultural views on female athletes needs to be changed. More help needs to be available to female athletes who are struggling with an eating disorder. So the solution, coaches need to speak to their athletes differently. Coaches shouldn't call them fat, but encourage them to be better athletes. Focus on being good, not losing weight. Less stress might help. This may be a learning process for each coach, but pushing athletes to do their best, but knowing when to draw the line. Therefore, if coaches can better identify which athletes can handle a certain amount of stress, that could also improve the percentage of female athletes coping with stress and with eating disorders. On the cultural side, we need to stop pushing for the supermodel figures and try to train for whatever sport you want to play. Everyone is different, and every sport is different. Since pretty much everything is different in the athletic world, nutrition may differ as well. Having better diet leads to better mindsets towards nutrition and hopefully not fall into the trap of eating disorders. However, if athletes are struggling or at risk for eating disorder, Morgado says that early detection and counseling are best ways to help with eating disorders. As you can tell, eating disorders are a huge problem with female athletes. So, conclusion being, eating disorders are detrimental to athletes' health and can cause serious long-term health issues if ignored. So simply changing the way coaches treat them and the way society views athletes could help to start reducing this problem and help athletes stay healthy and strong. So if you or anyone you know has an eating disorder or thinks that they might be at risk of an eating disorder, I've put this national helpline up for mental disorders in the presentation.